Good day, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Understanding Singapore Property Basics. So, in today's episode, I'm going to talk about understanding HDB eligibility, right? And HDB, of course, in Singapore is the cheapest form of residential property available. They are public housing, right? Public housing, as in they are organized by the government, so they are quite heavily regulated. There's a lot of rules around HDBs, and I think sometimes even property agents in Singapore can't really remember all these HDB rules because there's a lot of them. It changed quite a fair bit sometimes. So yeah, but HDB, because of its affordability, right, being the cheapest, lots of people look to get HDB as a roof over their head because housing is a basic need. Everybody needs to go home somewhere end of the day to rest, right, to raise your family, to be with your spouse, right, to do your own stuff in private, right. That's why HDB plays a very important part in the property market in Singapore. And undoubtedly, a lot of people have HDBs as their first homes in Singapore. And I think lots of people in Singapore, probably almost everybody, has been to a HDB before, or at least lived in a HDB, even though it's a rental at some point in time in their lives. So let's try and, in today's topic, try to break down a little bit of how to buy a HDB. What do you look at as eligibility before you buy HDB, whether it's a BTO, a new one, or a resale HDB unit from the secondary market. Now, first things first is actually HDB has a great website, and they actually have a questionnaire on their website. So if you go to the HDB website and you click on the links of I want to buy, right, they actually have a questionnaire where you can go through to sort of determine what kind of eligibility, whether you're eligible or not to buy, and what kind of HDB flats you can buy, and even the grants that the HDB can give you. So I will tell most people today, don't just look at my video alone. After this video, if you're interested to buy a HDB, please go to HDB website, do the questionnaire, and I think that will give you a lot of answers in terms of what you can or cannot buy through the HDB system today. And everything, of course, here which I say in this video has to be validated again with HDB. Do a phone call, make an appointment, or phone appointment with HDB. I think today they do a lot of phone appointments. You can ask all the questions you want to the HDB officer, and I think they are the best person ultimately to give you the answers that you want. But yeah, I mean, if today you're at home, you're watching this YouTube, I'm just trying to understand how HDB eligibility works. Okay, let's do this video here for you. So when you want to buy a HDB, there's generally three different categories they look at, which is first of all is the married and the families. This is the first category, which I think by far is the biggest category of people who buy HDB. Second is, of course, the singles, and third are the seniors. Let's start off the singles and the seniors category because these are the easier categories to explain. So as a senior, basically you have to be 55 years and above, right? You can buy a HDB with a short lease. That means 15 years to 45 years. So when the benefit of buying a short lease is that it's a lot cheaper, like, because you're not buying a 99-year lease. You're just buying 15 to 45 years, depending on how long you intend to stay in this HDB. I mean, the assumption is you live there until the end of your lives, right? So that's why the government allow you to buy a 15-year to 45-year lease. Of course, these are in selected locations only. You have to be a Singaporean citizen, right? Cannot PR, cannot foreigner. And although you may have a spouse or someone who is occupied with you, that's fine, right? But the main applicant has to be a Singapore citizen, and there's an income ceiling of not more than 14,000 Singapore dollars a month, which I think that's probably not that important because at 55 you're probably not working too much, or if you're not working, yeah, I've got high income. They're trying to exclude the high income, right? So that's the benefit of buying a through the seniors scheme, right? You have this option available. The next category are the singles. So singles means you're not married, yeah. You can buy the HDB either alone or with other singles. I think up to three, right? Singles can buy a flat. So you have to be Singaporean citizen. That's number one. You cannot be a PR or a foreigner. And you have to be age 35 and above, right? So you cannot be like single in your early 20s, you want to buy. Cannot. You have to wait until above 35. Generally, the government is looking at people who, for some reason, decide not to get married, right? So then this category is for you. If you want to buy new HDB though, the government only sell you 2-room flat because idea you single ma, right? You single, so only 2-room flat, right? They're not gonna sell you the bigger ones if you buy a BTO. But if you buy from the resale market, then you can buy practically any HDB that you want. The third category, which is of course the most numerous, the largest category, is the families category, right? So in the families, we are saying married couples, fiance, fiancée, multi-generation. So multi-generation basically means a married couple plus their parents, right? They stay in one flat. So these three are all under the family category. And you see Singapore government actually, this category is actually by far the most preferred category. Singapore government trying to encourage creation of a family nucleus, right? So again, married, fiancé, or multi-generation. So if fiancé, how do you get to the married, right? So you must be married within 6 months of getting your keys, right? For the fiancé scheme. That's how they determine this, right? So for BTO or resale, you must have the keys, be married within 6 months. Okay. So for BTO, if you're buying new BTO from government, which is the cheapest, of course, there must be minimum one Singapore citizen. So either spouse, husband or wife, either one must be a citizen, right? And then the other one can be a citizen or a PR. Okay, citizen or PR. So so it's either two Singaporean citizen or one Singapore citizen, one PR, right? Like that, you can buy BTO from government, right? For the family scheme, right? The other scenario is that if you buy resale, so you buy secondary, then it's either one citizen, two citizens, or one citizen, one PR, or in this case, two PR also can for resale. So I repeat, it's a bit looser here for resale, where two PR can buy a resale flat. So the difference is BTO must be minimum one citizen for BTO lah, but for resale you can be two PR. So this is probably the only case where you have two PRs can buy a flat in Singapore. And also in this case, right, both the PRs must have been PR for at least 3 years. They don't allow newly created PR to buy resale HDB. So PR for at least 3 years, both of them, then you can buy a resale HDB flat, right? So take the note here, because of public housing, so Singapore government give priority to citizens and PR. Of course, citizen benefits are still a bit better than PR, right? In this case for HDB flats. Okay, so what happens when you have a foreign spouse? So a foreign spouse here, we're referring to one citizen and one foreign spouse. Yeah, so must be citizen. Yeah, cannot be PR. Okay, when we say foreign spouse here, also foreign spouse means not PR, right? They are maybe employment pass, work pass, or less, maybe totally no pass also. They are here on long-term visit pass, right? That's the most lowest one. So long-term visit pass. So in this case, this one spouse is foreigner, right? Without PR here. So this spouse must be married to a citizen, cannot be married to PR. Okay, so one citizen, one foreign spouse, which in this case a foreign spouse, I repeat, is not PR, right? You can also buy resale flat. If you want BTO, I think they only allow two-room flat, which is besides the point, because in many cases, if you form a family, very likely you also want kids. So two-room flat, yeah, why would you do that, right? So buy resale, right? One foreign spouse, one Singapore citizen. Okay. There's also another category where orphan siblings are allowed to buy. So basically, if you are siblings, orphans, right, you are also allowed to buy HDB with similar requirements as above. Ceiling for families. So generally, if you buy HDB, the income ceiling is not more than 14,000 Sing dollars per month. So the household income cannot be more than 14,000 Singapore dollars, right? For multi-generational families where you are buying together with your parents, they assume that your parents may be working as well, then it becomes $21,000 per month. So let's talk a little bit about grants. Right now, Singapore government actually give quite a lot of grants for purchase of HDB, right? Whether BTO or resale, right? I think generally, I don't want to go into each grant in detail because the names are quite similar and you might get confused over just a video explaining that, right? But generally, the first category is actually of grants is based on income. If your income is low, even below $2,000 per month or below $1,005 per month, right, you have a what we call enhanced a CPF housing grant, right? So the CPF housing grant, right, if your income below $1,005 per month, they give you an $80,000 grant, yeah, which is huge, right? Can you imagine $80,000 just shaved off your what you call it, your HDB price, right? That's a lot. So that's basically to help the low income in Singapore, right? But depending on your income level, right, I think up to $8,000. So there's still small amount of grants, and then I think that's not too bad, yeah, because I mean, take lah, right? Government give you the grant. Why will you not say no? So always check, right? What is the HDB grant that's eligible for you? Number one, which is based on your income. Of course, as your income inches higher towards $14,000, then there's this grant no longer becomes available lah. type of grant is basically when you are buying resale flats, right? I think the government recognizes that in some cases people cannot buy BTO because they cannot wait, right? The 4 5 year construction period, they need a house immediately. I think government also recognize that resale flats tend to be more expensive than BTO. So for those cases where a couple needs to buy a resale flat, and you are first timer, I think some of the important criteria here is that either you're first timer or second timer buying HDB, right? Government will give you some flats, and also I think it depends on the who are the composition of buying, whether it's two Singaporean citizen or one citizen, one PR. The amount differs a little bit, but you can get anywhere from like 20,000 to $80,000 again, right, for buying a resale flat through this scheme. Yeah, and the final type of grant is what we call the proximity housing grant, where you are buying either to stay with your parents or buying nearby to your parents. So when we say nearby, within 4 kilometers, the criteria is within 4 kilometers of your parents, right, or children. But I mean, typically in these cases, it's usually parents, right? Within 4 kilometers, you get another grant of 20,000 to $30,000, right, for buying a flat within your parents. The idea is to preserve. It's also to help you to be with your parents, right? You don't want you to abandon your parents, so you want nearby, right? And then you get this proximity grant as well. So these are in general the three type of grants you look at. So one is income related. The lower the income, the more grant you got. Second is resale. If you're buying resale, government, and you are first timer, second timer, and again depending on whether citizen or PR, there's different tiering of how much grant you can get. And three is actually the proximity grant, which is whether you are buying near your parents or not, you get additional grant as well. So I hope in today's short video, I was able to explain some of the HDB eligibility to some level. I must re-emphasize that, of course, the best way to get a good answer is to go to HDB website itself, and there's a questionnaire over there where you can fill up, and of course to talk directly to a HDB officer, especially if you're buying BTO, right? But if you're buying resale HDB flat, you can also come and find me. We can go through that discussion in detail. Everybody's different, right? And the way HDB rules are, like I said, every scenario can vary widely. We have seen all sorts of scenarios over here. So if you have any questions about your own personal scenario, feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll answer the best I can. And also, if you are do you like the content on our video today? Please like our YouTube, share, subscribe with your friends and family. We're also on TikTok and various other social media like Facebook. You can see in the video description below. And if you want to sign up to our mailing list to get more information about property news in Singapore, and we also talk about Johor, Malaysia, do scan the link on our site and to join our mailing list. And thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.